our union has over 40 years long solidarity with the Palestinian people, and we have ensured that hasn't wavered at all since the unfolding of horror following October the 7th, because nowhere is in Gaza is safe. There are no safe zones because Israel continue to bomb and attack the so-called safe areas, despite telling people to move there. And no school or hospital is safe, despite these being protected under international law. In what world are the senseless attacks on schools, hospitals, and innocent lives considered legitimate? We've had 6 UN schools in Gaza that have been attacked over the last 10-day period. Since the war began, Israeli forces have hit nearly 70% of UN schools, the majority of which were being used as shelters, killing thousands of people. Just last week, the Israeli military hit the UN's Al-Razi school in central Nuseirat refugee camp and a main street lined with market stalls in the southern Al-Mawazi area, where thousands of displaced Palestinians have sought shelter. My view is clear that these are acts of terrorism by the Israeli state and against the Palestinian people. They're acts of terrorism against women and children who are suffering the worst impacts of this war. Now, doctors on the ground in Gaza say that the Israeli-made weapons designed to spray high levels of shrapnel are causing horrific injuries to civilians in Gaza and are disproportionately harming children. The doctors say many of the deaths, amputations and life-changing wounds to children they have treated came from the firing of missiles and shells in crowded areas with civilians, packed with additional metal designed to fragment into tiny pieces of shrapnel that leave barely a discernible entry wound but create extensive destruction inside the body. Amnesty International has said that these weapons appear to be designed to maximise casualties. So let me repeat that. The weapons are designed to maximise casualties. Meanwhile, the UN Special Representative in the OPTS has said that Gaza is further evidence that wars are never gender neutral, with 1 million women and girls bearing the worst brunt of 9 months of conflict. More than 10,000 Palestinian women have been killed since the 7th of October. More than 500,000 women are severely hungry, eating the least food of those in their families, skipping meals and with no access to healthy food for months on end. Overcrowding means people are living in spaces where infectious diseases are rampant, and because there is no water, women have been forced to shave their heads to avoid infections. Now, across Gaza, families continue to face dire conditions with limited access to hygiene and clean water. The UN aid agency UNRWA reports that rashes and skin diseases are rising. Currently, just 10 of UNRWA's 26 health centres in Gaza are still operational. Despite this, UNRWA's teams continue to risk their lives every day to provide medical care to families in need. 274 aid workers killed and over 500 healthcare workers have been killed. I was delighted to hear the news on Friday that the newly elected Labour government has restored and increased funding to UNRWA following its suspension in January. This is the first good news for Gaza from the UK, from the UK government, but Labour must go further. The UK government must suspend arms sales to Israel because as the International Court of Justice has ruled, there is plausible evidence that Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian people. By continuing to arm Israel, the UK is complicit in genocide. As trade unionists in Britain, we have an obligation to call out this complicity, demand an end to the sales of arms to Israel, and to stand in solidarity with our Palestinian brothers and sisters, because fundamentally none of us are free until the Palestinian people are free also.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And it's so true. That's what we need. We need to be calling on the Labour government to stop selling arms to Israel and to call this what it is, which is a genocide. Thank you so much for that, Daniel. That was fantastic. Thank you.